A spring in France has been pumping out 82 gallons of water constantly for centuries, and the divers who went looking for its source never returned. A hill in Australia has been on fire underground for 6,000 years, and no one knows how it started. And beneath the North Sea, scientists have just discovered something that defies the most basic law of geology. Join us as we explore 10 impossible geological formations that science still can't fully explain. Let's get into it. Number 10. The Nastapoka Arc. Look at a satellite map of Canada's Hudson Bay, and something immediately catches your eye. The southeastern shoreline forms a near-perfect semicircle about 450 kilometers across. The curve is so geometrically precise that it looks unnatural. The only natural process that reliably creates such a perfect arc is a catastrophic asteroid impact. That is exactly what scientists first proposed. In the late 1960s, a Canadian astrophysicist suggested the arc could be the rim of an ancient impact crater. He believed the Belcher Islands represented the crater's uplifted center. But a field investigation in the 1970s found none of the usual evidence of an impact. No shocked quartz, no melted rocks, no shatter cones. The theory was largely abandoned. The shoreline traces the boundary between two different rock types. Onshore, the rocks formed 3 billion to 2.7 billion years ago. Offshore, the rocks formed 2.5 billion to 1.6 billion years ago. These ancient rocks hold the key to understanding the arc. Geologists now believe the arc resulted from a massive continental collision about 2 billion years ago. As ancient continents smashed together, the crust buckled and fractured. This formed a fold and thrust belt, the remains of which are visible today. Gravity data from the early 1990s suggests the weight of this belt caused the center of the basin to sink. This forced up the edges, creating the curvature we see today. The debate continues. In the mid-2000s, a researcher proposed that the shoreline could be an ancient impact crater. The evidence may have been erased by millions of years of geological activity. A curve this perfect just should not exist. After decades of study, its origin remains unsettled. If a perfect curve in Canada seems strange, wait until you see what is bubbling in Ethiopia. Number 9. Dallol. What happens when you combine boiling acid with an active volcano? You get Ethiopia's Dallol. The remote Danakil Depression hosts one of the most hostile environments on Earth. Hot springs here reach temperatures of 109 degrees Celsius with pH levels near zero. That is essentially boiling acid. The Dallol geothermal area was created by seismic activity and a shallow underground volcano. As hot water rises, it dissolves salt and creates this hellish, otherworldly landscape. Scientists have been fighting for years over whether anything actually lives in the most extreme pools. One team goes in and finds microbial life. The next team returns and says nothing is there. The debate continues because Dallol pushes life to its absolute limits. Researchers are using Dallol to find the point where life stops being possible. That answer shapes what instruments we send to search for life on Mars and other planets. This boiling acid pit is our best alien life template. A place where the question, is anything alive here, remains hotly debated. While scientists debate life in Ethiopia's acid pools, researchers beneath the Bermuda Triangle have found something just as puzzling. Number 8. El Ojo. A filmmaker searching for a movie location stumbled upon something that would become one of Argentina's greatest natural mysteries. Sergio Neuspiller was scouting sites for a horror film in 2016 when Google Earth revealed a perfect circle in the Paraná Delta. The formation measured approximately 118 meters across, almost too precise to be natural. What made this discovery truly baffling came when Newspiller compared satellite images from different years. The island had moved, not just slightly shifted, but rotated and drifted across the water, changing position over time. The locals had always believed something strange existed in this remote swamp, but no one had ever documented it. This floating island, now known as El Ojo, or the Eye, sits on a circular body of unusually clear water. Most of the delta's water is brown and murky, but the water surrounding El Ojo is surprisingly transparent and cold. The island itself is a thick mat of vegetation, roots, and organic matter that somehow remains buoyant and solid enough to walk on. The mystery only deepens when you consider how it moves. The island rotates on its own axis, slowly drifting within its circular basin. As it spins, it grinds against the surrounding banks, gradually carving out the perfect circular lake that contains it. This feedback loop suggests the island and its lake have been shaping each other for centuries. Scientists have offered several explanations. Some believe it formed when a dense mat of floating vegetation broke free from the riverbed. Others point to underground currents or methane gas pushing the island upward. But none of these theories fully explain its near-perfect symmetry or its mysterious rotation. Newspiller eventually abandoned his horror film to investigate the island. He led expeditions through treacherous terrain, hiking for hours through swamps to reach the site. Upon arrival, he was struck by its otherworldly appearance, describing the water as completely transparent despite looking black from a distance. Local legends add another layer to the mystery. Indigenous communities tell stories of the Cobra Grande, a mythical giant anaconda said to live among floating islands. Some claim strange lights have been spotted near El Ojo, fueling theories that range from supernatural portals to secret alien bases. Despite growing international attention, scientific expeditions to the site have been limited. A planned 2016 mission failed due to lack of funding, and the remote, swampy terrain continues to keep researchers away. To this day, the footage captured by satellite is the most detailed record scientists have of this impossible island. The island remains largely unstudied, its secrets still intact. A perfect circle of land that moves on its own, in the middle of a swamp, defying conventional scientific explanation. Someday, researchers may finally unlock the mystery of El Ojo, but for now, it continues its slow, silent rotation. Number 7. Fosse Dionne. France's Fosse Dionne has claimed more lives than any other spring in Europe. This seemingly bottomless pit in Burgundy has produced a torrential 311 liters of water every second for centuries. The Romans used it for drinking water. The Celts considered it sacred. The source has never been found. According to one legend, a deadly serpent lives at the bottom. According to others, the spring was a portal to another world. 2 professional divers descended into the tight passages in 1974. They never returned. In 1996, another diver attempted the descent. He also died. The spring had claimed 3 lives, and still no one knew where the water came from. Then, in October 2019, professional diver Pierre-Éric Dessaigne was authorized to explore. He descended more than 70 meters underground, venturing 370 total meters from the entrance. He explored territory no one had ever seen before. He still could not find the source. The 1950s saw the first explorers launch themselves at this extraordinary abyss. But the Fosse Dionne revealed itself to be a true underwater labyrinth. Narrow passages, icy water, and dizzying depths made exploration nearly impossible. In 1962, 2 divers died, leading to a ban on exploration. Starting in 1976, the Le Guin brothers took up the challenge. They pushed the limits of exploration, reaching 360 meters in distance and 61 meters in depth. Despite this remarkable advance, they could not reach the end of the tunnel. Then came the tragedy of June 16, 1996. 2 amateur divers ignored warnings and attempted the adventure. One made it back. His companion remained trapped in the depths. His body was found a few hours later. A pool that has produced water for centuries, claimed multiple lives, and still refuses to reveal its source. While France's spring hides its source underground, Australia's Burning Mountain has been doing the opposite, sending smoke into the sky for 6,000 years. Number 6. Mount Wingen. The oldest underground fire on Earth is not in a mine. It is in a hill in Australia. Burning Mountain in New South Wales has been silently burning for approximately 6,000 years. The local Aboriginal tribes knew about it long before any European arrived. When the first European geologist arrived in 1821, he assumed he had found a volcano. He had not. The fire moves about 1 meter per year southward through the coal seam. The ground above it is scorched and barren, hot to the touch, with smoke rising from cracks in the surface. Until 1866, most people believed Mount Wingen was an active volcano. The fire now burns approximately 30 meters underground. It has slowly consumed the seam over millennia. The Guinness World Records recognizes Burning Mountain as the longest burning fire on Earth. The area around the chasms was littered with sulfur crystals. The Wanneroo people used the heat for warmth, cooking, and making weapons. The heat-hardened stones were used to create stone tomahawks. The Aboriginal population also used the sulfur and alum to make medicines. For centuries, the sick and injured were brought to the mountain from great distances. Men, women, and children came seeking healing. Some estimates suggest Burning Mountain has been burning since around 3,500 BCE. Others speculate it could be up to 500,000 years old. How it originally ignited, lightning, spontaneous combustion, or something else, remains unknown. The area is now a protected nature reserve. Australia decided to leave the eternal fire alone. Australia's fire has been burning for millennia, but in Siberia, a crater appeared out of nowhere in the last few centuries. Number 5. Patomskiy Crater. Siberia's Patomskiy Crater appeared out of nowhere in the last 500 years. Deep in the remote wilderness sits a conical mound about 40 meters high and 160 meters across. It is made entirely of broken and upturned limestone blocks. It looks like a giant eagle's nest dropped in the middle of the forest. Local Yakut people called it the Fire Eagle's Nest for generations. They refused to approach it, believing illness and death followed those who dared to venture there. When Russian geologist Vadim Kolpakov first documented it in 1949, he was astonished. He described it as a perfectly shaped mound the size of a 25-story building. He thought it might be an archaeological artifact, but not the work of a human. He wondered if it was volcanic, or even a top-secret creation of Stalin. The mystery has fueled numerous theories. Scientists have proposed everything from an alien ship to the Tunguska meteorite to an underground nuclear reaction. The first major expedition in 2005 ended tragically when its leader died of a heart attack before reaching the crater. Some believed this confirmed the Yakut legends. Tree ring analysis of the surrounding forest has revealed abnormal growth patterns. Many trees fell in 1841, and others show narrow rings linked to radiation exposure. The crater contains low levels of radioactive strontium and uranium. It also has magnetic anomalies that scientists struggle to explain. It even changes shape slightly over the years, rising and falling in ways that defy easy explanation. A 2025 study suggested the crater formed from a gas outburst. The above-ground structure formed when water entered the frozen fractured zone. Other researchers proposed a different theory: a mound formed by freezing groundwater pushing up the overlying rock. A structure that appeared in the middle of the Siberian forest sometime in the last few centuries. And no one knows exactly how or why. From Siberia's mysterious crater, we travel to the Caribbean, where a lake keeps disappearing without warning. Number 4. The Boiling Lake. Dominica's Boiling Lake comes and goes without warning, and nobody can explain why. In the middle of a Caribbean rainforest sits the second-largest boiling lake in the world. The water at the edges reaches up to 90 degrees Celsius, hot enough to cause serious burns. The center is so covered in steam that you cannot even see the water. The lake sits above a volcanic system, with gas bubbling up from below. 2 major eruptions have been recorded in 1880 and 1997. But the real mystery is not the heat or the gas. It is the fact that this lake has completely disappeared more than once. In 1880, it vanished after a nearby explosion, leaving only a steaming hole. It returned in 1901. In 2004, it nearly drained again with no warning at all. Scientists cannot predict when it will drain. They do not know what triggers the event. They do not even know where the water goes when the lake disappears. One theory suggests the lake sits above an underground chamber of steam and gas. If the gas supply stops, the water drains down through a hidden opening. But nobody has confirmed this. A lake that keeps disappearing over a volcanic system, and no one can explain when or why. While Dominica's lake comes and goes, Wyoming's Devil's Tower stands frozen in time, with geometry that seems almost impossible. Number 3. Devil's Tower, Wyoming. Wyoming's Devil's Tower rises 264 meters above the surrounding plains, covered in thousands of 6-sided stone columns. Each column measures about 3 meters across, creating a pattern so geometric it looks almost man-made. The tower formed when magma pushed up into the Earth's crust and cooled slowly beneath the surface. Over time, erosion stripped away the softer rock around it, exposing this incredible formation. As the magma cooled, it shrank and cracked. The cracking created a honeycomb pattern of mostly 6-sided columns. You can see the same effect when mud dries and cracks into polygonal shapes, but on a massive scale. The most puzzling part is why this particular formation developed such perfect geometry. Similar rock formations exist elsewhere, but none display this level of consistency across such a large area. Some of the columns are so perfectly formed that they appear almost identical to one another. Geologists understand the basic process, but why Devil's Tower developed such perfect symmetry at such massive scale remains a genuine mystery. The column formation is so precise, it has inspired countless legends, including the Native American story of a giant bear that clawed the sides of the rock. From a tower that looks artificial, we travel to Central Africa, where a magnetic force actually distorts reality. Number 2. Bangui Magnetic Anomaly. Something enormous is buried beneath Central Africa, and it is distorting Earth's magnetic field. The Bangui Magnetic Anomaly throws compasses off across an area hundreds of kilometers wide. It is so large that satellites have mapped it from space. Scientists first detected it in 1982 using satellite instruments, but they still cannot explain what is causing it. Researchers have proposed three main theories for what lies beneath the surface. It could be a massive underground iron deposit. It could be debris from an ancient asteroid impact. Or it could be dense material from deep inside the Earth that pushed unusually close to the surface. None of these theories have been proven. The anomaly sits between 15 and 35 kilometers below ground. That is too deep to drill and too deep to explore directly. Scientists can only study it using magnetic and gravity measurements from the surface. Each new study provides more data, but no clear answers. What makes this mystery so unsettling is its sheer size. The anomaly affects compass readings across an area larger than many countries. Something buried deep beneath the Earth is actively bending magnetic fields, and no one knows exactly what it is. That magnetic anomaly is enormous, but what scientists discovered under the North Sea in 2025 might be even stranger. Number 1. Sinkites under the North Sea. In 2025, scientists made a discovery that broke a fundamental rule of geology. Under the North Sea, researchers mapped hundreds of huge sand mounds, where younger, heavier sand had sunk into older, lighter sediment. That should not happen. Denser material does not sink into less dense material on its own. It is one of the most basic laws of geology. Scientists named these formations sinkites, an entirely new category of geological structure. The lighter material that was pushed upward has been called floaties. Normally, older rock layers sit at the bottom, and newer layers sit on top. But here, the layers are reversed. The heavy sand sank, and the lighter, older material floated up. The formations cover roughly 19,000 square miles under the sea floor. That is an area larger than Denmark. The process likely happened around 5.3 million years ago when earthquakes broke apart the upper layers. The older material was a lightweight, porous layer of tiny marine fossils. When the dense sand above cracked and fell, it pushed the lighter material upward. Scientists still do not fully understand why this happened. The North Sea floor is doing something that geology says cannot happen. This discovery could change how we study underground reservoirs and carbon storage. For now, the sinkites remain one of the most baffling geological finds of the century. Thanks for watching. Now check out the videos popping up on screen for more unbelievable stories.